Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Season 1, Episode 2 of The Company You Keep. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So, Charlie and the fam are trying to find their next mark, and they end up going kind of to this auction thing, and they're trying to pick, like, alright, which criminal are we going to take from? And it ends up being, like, a guy who has ties to Russia. He's like an ambassador or something like that, and his wife or girlfriend, significant other, has like very exquisite taste, and so they end up paying like way overpriced for they pays like $500,000 for a necklace that apparently already they owned. So it's like, right, they're laundering money. So, and they're kind of put on a timetable by Daphne. She's like, yeah, you got like 3 days to make your first installment before we have any issues. Because it's like, yeah, Connor still doesn't know about where you are, but I can always point him in your direction, and then that could be a big problem for you and your family, because you did embarrass him, because he is the one that brought this job to his dad and everything, to McGuire. So when it's all said and done, I love that Leo has to create this persona of like this like kind of photographer. I love how they were kind of laying it on thick, because I also love that Fran's kind of like, oh really? Do we really have to do that? And Charlie's like, no, it might actually be a good idea. So they come in as kind of a camera crew, and obviously, once again, I love the thieving aspect of like, right, when you don't have a plan A doesn't go according to plan, you always have to go with plan B. You always have to have something kind of up your sleeve. So, because the only person that was allowed to touch the necklace was like the husband or whatever. So it's like, all right, so how do we get a necklace and switch it out with a fake when he's the only one that's allowed to touch it? Which makes sense. I mean, it makes it hard for anyone to steal it. I'm sure it's like, but I think the wife said, like, oh yeah, it's for like insurance purposes. Only certain people can touch it or whatever, I guess. But the whole plan almost got screwed up simply by a dog. I thought that was kind of interesting. And it's like, I guess Charlie, like when once again, it's a smooth operation of like, oh, like I'm checking your cuticles and getting those fixed up, and it's like, oh, I'm fingerprinting yourself because the scanner for the safe is biometric, so make them kind of like a fake thumbprint to use. Sadly, it only worked once. I can only assume it's because like I think Charlie put it in his pocket, so it probably malformed the fingerprint a little bit, so when he tried it again, it didn't work. It's like, once again, great laid plans undone by a dog that just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. So the dog ends up barking, drawing attention. Then the safe gets closed. I guess he must have at some point in time managed to get the safe back open with the fingerprint. Must have finally worked at some point in time, because I was like, because the moment the safe was open, the box is back in there. I was like, how'd you do that? How'd you manage to do that? And it's like, okay. So I was like, so where's the real necklace? Because it's not on you. Hid it on the dog. I was like, that's actually pretty smart. Part of me almost kind of wanted to be like, oh, I wish you could kind of take the dog with you too. But it's like, no, that's too much. But it's like, yeah. Once again, it shows how Charlie's very good at thinking on the fly, and it's like, right, taking because Brody was like, oh, well, we'll try something else next time to get the necklace. It's like, well, I don't have to worry about it. I got it. It's like, yeah. So the whole plan worked out. The wife ended up never being the wiser. But the problem is they find out, it's like, hey, this necklace, this diamond in particular, is a stolen diamond from India. And yeah, we can't fit something that's literally priceless, that if you try to put this on the market, like every red flag on like the Indian government's going to like pop up being like, yo, this item is on the black, like that. Yeah, it's going to be a whole bunch of heat you don't want. So they end up giving it back to the guy, but they kind of force his hand. It's like, cool, we're going to sell it back to you. And they kind of force your hand. It's like, cool. Washington Post, like a whole bunch. Did they say Washington Post? Post. I think he said that specifically, but it's like also someone like an ambassador from the Indian government is there as well. They're like, oh, thank you for returning. Yeah, I told them this heartfelt story about you found out about the necklace and you wanted to return to them personally. So it's like, cool. Well, you gave us our money for our silence and stuff, but a man like you is all about your reputation. So the question then becomes, what are you going to do? Are you going to try and be the good person they believe you to be and want you to be? You want to keep up this reputation? Because, like, yeah, money is just money, but your reputation means everything to you. So you're going to do whatever it takes to protect it. So you're going to want they give the necklace back to him, or you can let them see you for kind of the criminal and terrible person that you really are. So that all worked out in the end. So I also love Fran kind of getting on Leo's case about like, oh yeah, like I'm sure you love that woman fawning on. He's like, no, it was part of her. She's like, oh, and you didn't enjoy the woman fawning on. He's like, no. He's like, I didn't say that. I said it was just it's part of the gig. It was part of the Milosh of it all, playing up that role. But like I said, I love how they had to hem it up. Be like, oh, the Obamas, oh, they're out of it right now. It's like, oh, where are we? Oh, woe was us. Where are we going to find us being able to do this at a very great house to do this fashion shoot or whatever? I was like, I really like that. But staying on the Charlie and his family side of things, obviously Birdie does not like Daphne, and understandable considering like Daphne keeps like, oh, how's that daughter of yours? And she's using sign language and it's just pissing Birdie off. And even Charlie's like, you don't have to go that far. It's like, one, we already know who we're dealing with. The last thing we need is you threatening a child. But it's like, it's the easy villainous role to be like, yo, I'm gonna threaten a child because it's the easiest way. It's the easiest leverage for me to make sure you're not getting it twisted on who you're dealing with. So, but Birdie didn't take that lying down. Birdie ended up following her back to the hotel she's staying at, so she kept an eye out on it. And I think it does speak volumes that when Charlie breaks in here, it's like, wait, she's been here a week? It's like, yeah, and apparently she hasn't let the cleaning services in there. It's like, yeah, that speaks volumes. That's interesting because it's like, right, regardless of housekeeping not being able to get in there, this place is spotless. And it makes sense. You want that place to be as spotless as possible because it's like, right, she was probably always a naturally paranoid person, but when you have someone who scooped 10 million from underneath you, like Charlie and his family did, of course you're going to be extra paranoid and being watchful about not leaving anything behind that could be used against you. But Charlie did find a family photo, so, and it appears like it's a picture of her mom. So it's like, okay, and the fact that she had it hidden too. So it's so interesting because it's like, she's supposed to be kind of this tough criminal, this badass that you're supposed to be afraid of. I mean, like, yeah, even hardened criminals, even the worst of worst people have family. You know, a lot of people have moms, you know? And so it's like, right, she has one, but it's like the fact that she had the picture hidden, but I guess it's like, right, she doesn't want it on display, but the fact is it was hidden, I think in itself already spoke volumes before we found out the truth about it. So, and I love that when Charlie snuck in, lo and behold, like when we saw, like, because I was like, when the person came in, I was like, because the hands were like of a lighter complexion, I was like, that's not Paula's hand. I mean, I'm not saying apologies. Daphne's hands. I was thinking like, wait, we're not going to find out it's actually Tina or something, right? Like, there's a connection there. It's like, no, because Tina would be doubly screwed because she's the one that actually has the 10 mil. Like, there's no way. And once again, Tina's probably not going to pop up for most of the show. I could definitely see her popping up nearing the end of the season. Which I should also note, because I was looking at the cast list before I started this recording, I kept wondering, like, last episode, I was like, why did the actress who plays Tina, why does she look so familiar? The actress's name is Bridget Regan. The reason why I recognize her, she played Pamela Isley, aka Poison Ivy, in season 3 of Batwoman. I was like, oh, dude, because I recently also like I brought that up about I did a Poison Ivy video like maybe a month or two ago, and that I also brought her name up again there, so that's why I think that's why I kind of like registered in my head the moment I saw her name. I was like, oh, right. Regardless, but yeah, that's why I was like, that's what should have clicked in my head. Like, of course, it's not going to be Tina, and it being Emma, I was like, interesting. Charlie's breaking in here, so it's Emma because Emma's breaking in here to put a bug in here. And who knows how if it would have all worked out if they both hadn't been there at the same time. The only reason why Daphne found out there was someone in her place at all is because she's probably very meticulous about where things are. So she noticed immediately because when Charlie was there, he accidentally knocked something over. He grabbed it before it fell, but he put it back, but he didn't put it back in the exact same spot. It was in a rush. It was behind his back when he was doing it too. So that's what Daphne immediately recognized. So that made her go like, all right, someone's been in here. And that's how she ended up finding out about the CIA's bug. Or at the very least, she probably knew like, all right, at the very least, I have to believe that my place has been bugged. if it wasn't for Charlie, like it probably would have been fine. Like everything would have been okay for Emma and their operation. So that situation kind of screwed. Well, it worked out for Charlie because it's like on the off chance he would have left anything disturbed, which he's very good at it. But so he probably never. Neither one of them would have made that mistake. The situation wouldn't be what it is on either front. If like Emma had never come in while Charlie was there, he probably would have gotten out without much fuss, and she probably would have never known. But at the very least, she doesn't know that it benefits them in that regard of like. Even with her paranoia, she's focused on the CIA. She doesn't even know she has to be worried about Charlie and his family, like, blindsiding her, knowing all this stuff about her. So it all worked out in the end. But it's like, yeah, kind of, that they gained the upper hand, which kind of screwed Emma over to some extent. So it's funny how that worked out. And once again, them kind of being like a wall away from each other. Like, she's got her fingers there. And I was almost about to say, like, is Charlie going to see her fingernails? But he's like across like the corner of the wall, so he isn't going to see it. But it's like, at the same time, his hand's against the wall. It was like, it's sweet. And this very like cat and mouse thing that neither one of them realizes they're hunting the other one. So luckily, Birdie kind of got him out of that. Because I was about to say, like, Birdie can't run into Emma. To be fair, like, she met Emma last episode. So, but it's not like Emma, like, walked past her without realizing, like, you know, it's probably a thing of they both would have been like, wait, what? They would have been, like, it might take a while, but they both might remember each other's face from the party from last episode. So, I think it's kind of a good thing they don't run into each other either, especially if she finds out. She's probably going to find out about him being, Birdie being his sister, first and foremost, before running into her in any other, like, operational capacity. It's probably like, oh, she's going to get introduced to the fam at some point in time, and then she's probably going to be like, she's like, oh, wait, weren't you at the party? That will probably start creating that thing of, like, I also don't think Birdie and them 100%, they definitely don't know about Emma in the regards of like, oh, that woman you were chatting it up with at the party, I didn't know that was a thing that's still going on. I mean, because Birdie also cut him some slack about the whole Tina thing. It's like, yeah, Tina fooled like all of us. And she was also like, I was almost happy for you because I was like, hey, like, at least one of us has like some kind of normal relationship that at least one of us can end up having what mom and dad have. Like, they're so in love. They're like, it is really sweet. You know, it's like, Leo and Fran definitely give off soulmate vibes. And it's like, yeah, like anyone would want that. You could tell Charlie's kind of a romantic. It does make me go like, oh, so is Birdie's baby daddy not in the picture? Like, did he kind of like, because like she is a single mom, so like, did he die? Did he like leave her high and dry when it came to raising her daughter? I'm curious how that worked out. Something that actually kind of took me by surprise was when Daphne just rolled up to go see McGuire and then just like left and specifically looked into the camera too. I was like, yo, that's ballsy. But it's like, I guess like, I thought they ran her record last episode, but like, Emma's boss was like, yo, she's not a, oh God, she's not a criminal or anything. She's just like a very well-educated person. So it's like, right, she's made sure to keep herself like off, like, yeah, she's working criminally, but she's made sure to kind of have a non-criminal persona and perspective out there in the world. So no one knows like how deep and she is connected to all this. Once again, like helping expand McGuire's drug business and stuff like that across Europe. But poor Emma thought they had her dead to rights. But the fact that she made that call in the hotel room, I was like, that seems a little suspicious. Like she might be setting you up. And lo and behold, she was setting you up. So it's like, cool. Not only did she lie to us, that means she's on to us because she specifically left this our listing device in a shipping container. So of course, like things weren't going to be that easy. It also just goes to show, like, man, she's really good. You can only assume she's also going to leave that hotel room. Well, they ended up, well, I guess that was a copy of the photo. I was about to say, like, they didn't actually take the photo, but it's like, no, now to think about it in retrospect, it was like a larger blown up version. I think they made photocopies of like the after, like, because he took a picture of it and they probably just like printed the photo, maybe, because I don't think it was the actual photo from Daphne's of like that what we know to be Daphne's mom. And then we get the reveal at the end because Leo's like, oh yeah, that's a place in Ireland. It's like, really? And they're like, right, now it makes sense why she was able to rise through the ranks so much, why like McGuire kind of like gives her so much leeway. She's his daughter. I guess it's kind of like illegitimate child situation of like, obviously like, I wonder, does Connor know about them being half siblings or not? Or is that something McGuire's keeping to himself? Does everyone else in the organization not know? You're like, ooh, that's, well, I mean, I'm sure Connor's even more so a Nepo baby. I'm sure from Daphne's perspective, it's like, no, I'm not a Nepo baby. I had to fight tooth and nail to get to where I am. I still have to prove myself. And now it makes sense why she was giving Charlie and them like such a small, she's like, oh, you got 3 days to make your next down payment or we're going to have an issue. It's like, right. Cause she needed to like rush to prove to her dad, like, yo, I can do this. Like, oh, the fact is without even selling any of our product, I got 500,000. And I found out who's investigating us. I don't know what organization she works for, but I know she's got a picture of Emma. It's like, I know who she is. So, yeah. So it's like, right, I am ready. Have I proven myself that I'm ready to run this organization? And McGuire just smiles. So you're like, okay. So it is a situation of she needed things to kind of play out this way because she needed to prove herself. You know, this was kind of almost her auditioning at someone to prove to her dad, like, no, I am ready to run things. Because he was going to probably most likely leave things to Connor. But it's like, no, I'm the one that's helped expand the business. I can keep this going. I can keep this afloat until I can get you out. And yeah, they did pay her the 500 mil. It's like, cool, $500,000 down, 14.5 million to go. You're like, oh boy, this is going to take a minute. I mean, they said it was going to take like a couple weeks, but the problem is she controls so much of the situation that she can dictate the timetable at any point in time. It's like, yeah, you got this amount of time to get me, like, I don't know if it's always going to be in $500,000 increments or bigger increment. It just depends on the jobs, but you know there's going to be some jobs that probably are going to go sideways, and that's the problem. They have to put themselves in danger, you know, because Charlie was making the whole point, like, right, we're not going to take, or I think Charlie and Birdie were talking about not taking jobs and rushing to do stuff and get ourselves caught just because she needs the money right now. It's like, yeah, but she doesn't care. It's like, yeah, you get arrested, that's kind of you in the end, so who cares? She'll still probably expecting her pay. It's like, right, you want to avoid jail and you also want to pay me, so you better not get caught. Another side of this episode revolves around Emma and her family, and that actually ties into the whole her and Charlie thing, because a friend from the CIA was like, yo, oh, you and Rebound going on a date. It's like, yeah, but if it's, you know, because it's, which I didn't remember. The first time I heard about this was the show The Recruit, which deals with CIA agents. The whole thing of like, yeah, anyone you have like a relationship with in some shape or form, you have to like fill out forms to let that be known. I guess once again to kind of make it official, because if it's unofficial, then they're not aware of it. They can't keep an eye on it, because I guess maybe it's kind of like a background check type of thing of like, hey, we have to run a background on this person to make sure they're not someone trying to honey trap you and they're working for a foreign government trying to get some secrets out of you type of thing. I think that's kind of like the big stipulation of like why that's a thing. But her friend saying it's a rebound, I think that's when it really hit Emma, and that's why she was kind of handling the whole Charlie thing a little weirdly throughout the episode, because it's like, yo, like that really resonated in her head, because Charlie's acting like it's a little bit more, but she's like, no, that's not what this is. Like, we're just two people. We met like an hour after our respective breakups. Like, we're just like two people who are attracted to each other. That's all it is. But Charlie's like, no, it could be, I mean, what is this? And, you know, because she was trying to figure it out herself, like what they have, because she's like, no, it's not a relationship. But it's like, yeah, you could tell like Emma was making moves out of fear, that it's just like, because she didn't know how, like, she even talks about it later on for her brother, of like, she has a hard time opening up with people, and it's hard to kind of let your guard down. I mean, especially when you have this job, it makes sense. But her brother kind of says, like, the way she is now isn't just based on her job. It's kind of who she was, always has been. And so I thought it was interesting, like, obviously, Emma had to move back in with her family because of, I think, I don't know if it's specifically because of the breakup. They kind of I don't know if it's specifically that, because maybe her and her boyfriend were living together at the time and she hasn't found a new place, or at the very least it helps with her cover to some shape or form. They didn't really get into specifics of why she had to move back home. I mean, her parents are happy to have her there, at least her dad. Obviously, it seems like her most complicated relationship is with her mom. But yeah, like her brother is running for Senate as a senator, and so she's able to kind of see the campaign in a way no one else, because it's like, oh, his numbers aren't down in these particular areas because of the area that it's in. It's like, no, his numbers are down in these areas because it is sadly like, oh, they don't feel like he's authentic enough. And he puts it in layman's terms, being like, oh, so I'm not Asian enough? It's like, yeah, they don't feel like you're really being you because you're putting on too much of the airs of a politician. Because the whole point is like, people want a politician where they feel like, hey, you're me. You feel relatable. They want to feel like they're talking to someone else who's listening to them, who understands them. But it feels like, and I even love the whole comparison his mom made to like, oh, because Emma's brother was like, yeah, mom wants us to kind of be like the Asian Kennedys. And then it's kind of like, yeah, that is kind of like the vibe they're going for. So, but either way, like she has like, because she is the way she is, she's very observant. She's able to pick up on stuff pretty quickly. She ended up kind of, helping him out with his campaign, and he actually wants to bring her on as kind of his campaign manager, even to the point he stops by her work. And I even love they have like hey, it's a code green, it's your brother at the front. And it's like, yo, bro, why'd you stop by my workplace? It's like, yeah, I'm busy on a project right now. And him and his sister kind of, both of them later on kind of sit down and kind of drink and stuff, and I think hang out, which I think he appreciates, because with him it's like he can be so candid with his mom, with his sister, like, and not in the way that he can be with their parents. It's like, it's a lot easier because it's like, right, you're one of the few people who knows me so well. And it's like, yeah, we can kind of be open and honest with each other. That's always been a good thing about our relationship. And because of that, Emma decided to be open with him and told him, she didn't go specifics about who she works for, but she's like, yeah, I have a government job agency, super did not get specifics about the letters, but it's like, yeah. So she was able to open up to her brother, and he was like, yeah, thanks for telling me. But she's like, yeah, he's like, this job you have, this is how you always were. It's just maybe you found the job that was a better fit. And so I think for her, it's just kind of, because I think she probably always kept using work as an excuse of, oh, I'm this way because of work, because I have to be. But it's like, no, this has always been a little bit of me. And I guess it made her kind of realize, like, I've always kind of had a challenge, like, opening up to people. And maybe I kind of used the CIA as a crutch on not doing that. And so she ended up calling up Charlie and apologizing, saying like, right, I shouldn't have said all the stuff I said, that that this is what it is, that we shouldn't even, because for her it's like, right, it's not something she's used to, like, opening up. And I think probably for a while that's the first time she's probably really fully opened up with her family. So it kind of opened the floodgates in this regard, especially because it scared her, because she's like, Charlie's, not only can he see her, he can see through her, and she feels like you're the only person in the world who can do that. And seeing someone who's able to kind of disarm you so much, who's able to see through you in a way, see you in a way no one else can, it's a beautiful thing, but it's also going to be scary when you're not used to it. It's like being that vulnerable with another human being. It's not, it's easier for some people than it does others. Like others, I kind of relate to him in that regard of like, yeah, like that's always been my issue in relationships. It's that aspect of myself I've tried to fix over the years, but it's still there. Like keeping walls up. I'm not always, it's vulnerable when it comes to intimate, moments, and it's just in the intimacy, between you and a partner. It's just, I resonated with that. So, and obviously it means a lot for Charlie too, because it's like, yeah, it's when he has to, their entire relationship was like introduction of like, oh yeah, there's this BS between us. And it's like, oh, but now we're getting to know the real us at least a little bit. It's like, oh, working with your family, being away from your family, those conversations we had last episode kind of like carrying over in this episode. So, but it does seem like they're in a better spot now than they kind of were going into this episode. So I'm excited to see where things kind of go for them. Obviously it's like a better spot means nothing considering the complicated circumstances that they are both in and are completely unaware of in each other's lives. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how all of this plays out going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.